Recent Rhode Island sex abuse arrests reveal a powerful corruption ring of school, church, and police officials. Apparent high-level cover-ups point right at the top state officials. Let's start at the beginning. It starts with just the arrests of 2 local child sex abuser special ed teachers, but it quickly widens to include top school, church, and police officials in a cover-up. Just arrested was Henry Tedeschi on child pornography charges March 16, 2017. Mr. Tedeschi once was special ed director in North Providence, and he quit this job in March 2013. He took a special needs job nearby in Massachusetts in Fall River. He taught special needs kids at a Massachusetts middle school near his home in Rhode Island. He was busted with child porn March 2017. He's got the same last name as another Rhode Island special needs teacher, one who was accused of sexually battering an autistic child in October of 2015. In an adjacent school district, Anthony Tedeschi, who was a special education aide in an adjacent school district. What happened was really strangely received by school officials. They'll show you that both cases show suspicious signs of official cover-up. Accused Anthony Tedeschi, arrested January 16th, Providence, Rhode Island. This Tedeschi's case is not only disturbingly similar, but the cover-up is more visible, and it points right to top officials. This cover-up involved a school, a church, top Rhode Island lawmen. There were serious problems with Anthony Tedeschi's case handling. The school, before his arrest, did an internal investigation and said they found no evidence, and they put him back on the job within reach of kids while moving his victim to another school. A third-party witness had seen the autistic victim struggle. Why did the police wait 3 months for an arrest? The police in local dioceses knew much more about Tedeschi than they admitted. They knew of something parents should have been told, but they said nothing. Why? For more than 30 years, Mr. Tedeschi had worked in the local St. Peter and Paul Cathedral's back room, arranging mass elements and vestments. Some police knew this, but inexplicably did not alert the public to Mr. Tedeschi's proximity to altar boys. Why didn't police warn parents and the public? Tedeschi wasn't just the sacristan at Providence's largest cathedral. He also had another special role, one in which he worked with the police. According to an article in Rhode Island Catholic from 2009, Anthony Tedeschi had also infested the Knights of Columbus. By 2009, he'd become the leader of the KFC's church council. An article from the Time read, Tedeschi is a member of the Rhode Island Council of the Knights of Columbus and serves as their church director. This is very sad because the Knights of Columbus does a lot of good charitable work in Rhode Island. Low-cost insurance, family fun days, church security. Traditionally, the Knights of Columbus works closely with the police wherever they are active. In Tedeschi's cathedral, off-duty police worked security, attacked people, engaged in cover-ups and secret acts.
Well, he was saying that he works for the church, and I also work for the church.
This isn't true. These off-duty police detectives have no church authority. When we caught these 2 men on video committing battery in Tedeschi's church, he saw the camera, panicked, and instantly brought other police into a cover-up. All recorded. Disturbing features of recorded police cover-up, fake name used.
St. Peter.
Your name is not St. Peter. What is your name?
St. Peter.
Your name is not St. Peter.
Another disturbing feature of the recorded police cover-up was they They pretended not to be police.
Well, he was saying that he works for the church, and I also work for the church.
All right, why don't we just call the police, Frank? That would be the best thing to do.
Well, the month.
All right, why don't we just call the police, Frank? That would be the best thing to do.
Well, the month.
Detective Kevin O'Brien was Rhode Island's top sex crime investigator, but right as news of Tedeschi's case became public, Detective O'Brien retired and took a job with Tedeschi's diocese. Detective O'Brien's new private sector job was to protect congregants from abuse by church officials. Did Diocese Compliance Officer Major Kevin O'Brien alert altar boys' parents to the presence of child molester Tedeschi in the sacristy? Or instead, did he immediately engage in a new cover-up? Top state and diocese sex crime investigator Detective Kevin O'Brien knowingly and dishonestly participated in the cover-up. Detective Kevin O'Brien refused to view the video recording, but he compiled a report directly contradicting the video. Detective Kevin O'Brien is the linchpin of the police, church, school, pedophile ring. Soon it all ties together and it implicates the state attorney general. On Detective Kevin O'Brien's watch, the Tedeschi school's investigation went awry. The autistic victim had to leave his school. Church compliance officer O'Brien should have warned altar boy parents about Tedeschi's decades-long backroom church clothing role. But instead of doing those things, Kevin O'Brien retired. And then, at this church, Detective Kevin O'Brien helped off-duty police pretending to be church workers cover up a minor attack. This leads to the state attorney general.
I have authority through the
Crosses, it attracts them, the crosses.
I have
The nice new crosses, it attracts them, Father.
Excuse me. Father, Mancini. This is a misunderstanding. You talk to me as a Sunday. You don't talk to me.
Have a nice afternoon.
Monsignor, they're telling me I can't come to church. The Holy Father told us to do this. I met with the papal nunciator.
Have a nice afternoon. Have a nice afternoon.
The priest being bullied here is Father Mancini, a humble, wise, and compassionate servant of God. Until the arrest, he had to work with Tedeschi, who worked at the cathedral and worked at Columbus Knights Church Council for years. When interviewed by news media, Father Mancini was naturally protective of Mother Church, distancing himself from Tedeschi, as anybody would. Father Mancini is quoted, "Tedeschi left several months ago," the same time he attacked the schoolboy. Tedeschi left of his own accord due to staff changes. How does that work? Seriously, think. Of his own accord due to staff changes? Detective Major O'Brien and Tony Tedeschi masterfully gamed the system. Just look at the timeline. Detective O'Brien's the state's top sex crime cop, and Tedeschi works at the church, a school, and Knights of Columbus. In October 2015, Tedeschi attacks an autistic boy at school, and he leaves his 30-plus year church job, and police never mention his role there, despite Tedeschi's Knights of Columbus job, at which he interfaced with police. Detective O'Brien takes a job as a sex crime specialist where Tedeschi just resigned, but neglects to tell the public of Tedeschi's cathedral role clothing altar boys. A pedophile 23 skidoo. And Detective Major O'Brien foisted a new cover-up of police crime as soon as he started at the church. This festering den of sin blazes a trail right to the State Attorney General. This is Attorney General Peter Kilmartin. Together, these two gentlemen are part of another corruption ring, racketeering. But first, let's just look at what Kilmartin did for the church just 4 months later. In August 2016, O'Brien's diocese in Kilmartin settled a long-standing child sex abuse case with a sweetheart deal. Let's take one more fast look at that church video O'Brien refused to see, in sequence, shortened.
Well, he was saying that he works for the church, and I also work for the church.
St. Peter.
Your name is not St. Peter. I have authority through the
Crosses, it attracts them, the crosses.
I have
The nice new crosses, it attracts them, Father.
Excuse me. Father, Mancini. This is a misunderstanding.
Remember my testimony, Father? What does that mean? Just before Detective Major Kevin O'Brien quit the state police to work at the church, Detective Major O'Brien joined Attorney General Kilmartin in an odd public deception. A deception of a peculiar type Kilmartin regularly engages in on behalf of another corruption ring. These two lawmen are cozy with a whole nest of dirty former police, ex-police with a very well-protected monopoly, one that's worth millions. The Thomas C. Slater Compassion Center, owned and run by a knot of former state police, Rhode Island's dominant medical cannabis dispensary, and one of only 3 allowed statewide. Now, while our last House Speaker is in prison for selling liquor licenses, new laws are constantly being passed just to tighten the Thomas C. Slater Compassion Center's monopoly. But that's not good enough for them. They're also racketeering, with help from, you guessed it, these two. They have a history of jointly lying to the public about the law for the Slater Center's economic benefit. When the Slater Center gets an exclusive new legal or technological privilege, like unlimited plant count snuck in as a line item in the budget for 2015, or a new piece of equipment that's very expensive to make cannabis oil extracts, one or both of these men publicly misstate the law itself to news media, heightening the new privilege's exclusivity. Fake news, helping the Slater Center, the Thomas C. Slater Compassion Center. Meanwhile, these ex-cops openly exceed their own hefty legal limits. They've done this for years by procuring more cannabis from vendors than the vendors may legally provide. And if a vendor or grower proves troublesome, or even unneeded as competition, Detective Major O'Brien and or Attorney General Kilmartin took them down. Detective Major O'Brien often led the state anti-drug force and the SWAT team, and former cop Kilmartin was criticized just this month for using state funds for lobbying for his own cannabis opinions at odds with the people's. Let's see which kingpins they nabbed in their latest round of Slater Center privilege busting. This guy allegedly provided cannabis to a patient whose card had secretly expired. Rhode Island lifesaver legend firefighting hero Patrick Ramashtas, massive felony charges for a non-offense. Registered medical growers, new commercial license similar to the Slater Center's new license. Major felony charges from Kilmartin for these nice kids. Look at them. They look about as dangerous as that nice fireman who was arrested, but they're all facing more time than the pedophiles are. It gets way worse, trust me. Remember Kilmartin's August 2016 sweetheart deal in the diocese settlement?
That deal came just 3 weeks after a most unusual arrest. This is the woman from the church video, Reverend Dr. Ann Armstrong. She is a qualifying medical cannabis patient in Rhode Island and a respected Christian activist for decades. For months, Reverend Ann requested that Kilmartin and police verify garden legality with invitations. But shortly after the Tedeschi and church attack cover-ups, and just before the Sweetheart Diocese settlement, Reverend Ann was twice raided and arrested in most unusual circumstances. Reverend Ann was held as a capital offender, no bail. In one raid, police illegally removed valuable Catholic art from the hall of evidence they seized and inexplicably delivered it to a private party, a retired judge, across state lines. That's not lawful anywhere, It's a pile of felonies is what it is. He simply claimed total immunity. But it just keeps getting worse. Kilmartin also appointed the son of the police-owned Compassion Center's lawyer to represent the state against Reverend Ann. Reverend Ann got a very special reception in jail, too. Even though she and her videographer were housed in separate jails, they were each simultaneously put in psych segregation. The Attorney General's lawyers were repeatedly untruthful to the courts about case history, facts, and procedure. These are the men to whom we entrust our children's safety? They didn't investigate that very well. Kilmartin at least knows the end is nigh. He's under heavy fire recently for helping state police not investigate a separate $100 million State House ripoff. And he's taking media heat for spending public money lobbying for Slater Center monopolies again. Kilmartin's composure is cracking. He bullied one reporter last week. He carries a gun to interviews now, and he can't say heroin suddenly. Let's watch some quick clips.
Attorney General Peter Kilmartin is back in Rhode Island
on the heroin crisis. About the heroin crisis.
Why is he holding his coat shut if both buttons are done up?
We as parents must protect our state's children, first and foremost, from the cover-up boys. But no one can charge the Rhode Island State Attorney General outside of impeachment proceedings. He has claimed total immunity. We do have the greatest shield of all, though. We have the power of prayer. And something more, too. After reviewing this timeline, which is easily verifiable with public records, you, the viewer, can instantly determine if any official prioritizes money over children's safety by showing this to your officials and seeing what they do about it. We expect our state's resources to protect children, not to torment our state's heroes. We will have justice. Thank you. This has been a message from the Healing Church. Chana Hiram.